In a couple of days, we're all gonna get for free Alice, this new champion that is gonna be introduced in the game, or it's already in the game, and it's gonna be just a free reward for everyone just for playing the game from now in January until I think it's the end of March is the last time you can start logging in. In the previous video, we saw the Mad Hatter. By popular demand, you wanted to see his video guide first, and of course, we couldn't forget to make the guide about Alice, which is, like I said, the champion we're all gonna get. Today, we're gonna see the 3 best ways to gear her, or at least the 3 ways I think is gonna be you're gonna get the most out of her. So let's have a look at her. Hi, Senda here, and welcome to another Rage of the Legends video. Like I mentioned, Alice, we're all gonna get her, so either people from the early game, mid game, late game, we're all gonna get her. And today my idea is to show you the best 3 ways depending on what you need her for. Maybe you can be on the late game and then you're really missing some kind of champion that has some sort of lockdown on the skills, or maybe you're looking for a very reliable nuker, or you want to just increase damage for whatever reason, or you just need control for waves or in arena because you cannot climb on the arena or because of live arena. So that said, we have to have a look at her because there is a couple of different ways to build her, and I have 3 which I think they're going to be probably the best 3. In Alice's case, let's have a look at the skill set first. It's in the Sacred Order. As you can see, there starts to be a pretty busy faction. There's like 3 rows and 2 champions. Also with the epics, it's been one of the factions with the most amount of epics. Then we have the poor green tribes that barely has any almost half of the faction. Same with the lizardmen. Poor lizardmen only have 2 rows of these, not even 2 rows of epics. So there's clearly some preferences in Plarium here in terms of adding champions. And Alice, in this case, we have some solid stats. Nothing special. It's pretty average. It's pretty irregular. HP, attack, defense, speed in terms of her role, which is similar to Sun Wukong in that sense. You can have her more damage based or damage focused. You can have her a bit more control focused. Her kit. So we start with an A1, attacks an enemy 2 times, places an extra hit if the target has an active skills on cooldown. This can happen because it's either a boss and the boss attacked us, or if you're in arena, if the enemy attacked us first, that also can happen. Or also we can kind of recirculate her skills, put enemy skills on cooldown on the A2 and then hit with A1, and in that case we'll be hitting 3 times instead of 2. On top of that, has an 80% chance of decreasing the duration of a random buff on the target by 1 turn. Only 1 turn and only 1 buff. So maximum we can do is decrease 3 turns a buff on the enemy. On her A2 is kind of her signature move, to call it somehow. Attacks all enemies, 75% chance of increasing the cooldowns of all enemy skills by 2 turns. It's not bad, but it's not the best. Is very similar, like we said in the previous video, very similar to on the Skinwalkers. We have Basher, which does pretty much the exact same thing. Attacks all enemies, increases the cooldown of all of the target's skills by 2 turns. It's not bad, but even though it says by 2 turns, means that the next turn on the enemy, this skill is gonna go into 1 turn cooldown, and the second turn of the enemy, the enemy is gonna have the skill ready. So it's a lockdown, but that only gives us 1 turn of margin to do things before the enemy has their skills back. For example, we have Warlord, we have Yumeko, we have Crixia. There is several champions who lock all enemy skills. All enemy skills means that it's gonna, for some skills it's gonna take longer, for some skills it's gonna take less, but all the enemy is gonna recover all the skills in 2 turns. Or at least with Alice. In the case of Warlord, the enemy will get them whenever. That means that it's gonna take them 2 or even 3 turns to recover back or to get their skills back before, or giving us certain margin of time for us to get our nuker's turn, to get our debuffer's turn, etc. So this is kind of the signature move. Only 2 turns is okay, but we have to be fast in killing the enemy. Otherwise, in 2 turns, the enemy is going to have the skills again. And also has a 75% chance of decreasing each target's turn meter by 15%. This is what we can count 100% of the time that she's going to do it, if she has enough accuracy. Always decreases to 15%. If at least one of the target's skills has a cooldown, if at least one of a target's skill has its cooldown increased to the max, decreases their turn meter by 30% instead. It's very unlikely that she will be able to do this herself, because first puts in 2 turns the cooldown, and most of the skills, for example this one, 4 turns, with books 3 turns, which means like if we lock for 2 turns, it's not going to be enough. You would need a 3 turn cooldown, or a 3 turn lockdown, better said. And in this case, the enemy would need to have 2 turns every 2 turns, which would be quite OP of a skill, and normally that's not the case. So we can count at least 100% of the times with not only a lockdown or cooldown, or a lock skill, sorry, and a 15% turn meter decrease. And her A3 is her nuker signature move, which is attacks on enemy, ignores 20% of the target's defense, which is pretty good, because you can also accumulate it with the set. You can put another 20%, and then you can have Hell Smasher, another 20 or 25% also, so all of that adds up. And if the initial target is killed, also attacks the enemy with the lowest HP, and it will also ignore 20% of that second target. And also on top of that, this multiplier of this skill is pretty good. I don't remember if it was 4.5 times the attack, and then this one was 5 points times the attack. It wasn't bad, it wasn't crazy, but it was a solid hit. Problem that I see with that is problem that I see with her in this case is stone skins. She doesn't ignore stone skins. She doesn't ignore any other enemy buffs that we find a lot. Shields, ally protection. So there is a lot of other buffs that the enemies wear or use in the arena that we're not going to be able to ignore them, and maybe kind of lacks a bit. To compensate for the lack of accuracy or for the lack of damage, what she's going to do is whenever this champion attacks, inflicts a 3% bonus damage to each target for each turn remaining on all of their skills cooldowns. The bonus damage is counted individually for each target. That means like the more turns the enemy has in cooldown, the more damage we're going to do. The problem with that is that the damage increase is not crazy high, it's only 3%, so it's not too high. Actively, this is really cool if it happens, because her A3 hits pretty hard, resets the cooldown of one of these champions' skill each time they kill an enemy, occurs once per skill, which means that if we start with the A3, we kill one enemy, hopefully we kill the second enemy, this passive will go in cooldown, but then we'll have this skill again to kill maybe the other 2 enemies. So this is more or less her kit. We can focus if we want to get a lot of value on this A2, or if we want to get a lot of value on the A3 as a nuker. That said, let's have a look at the gear, the possible mastery, the possible blessing, and I've used my allies, the 5 stars, the 5 stars. First, because Plarium gives it to us, content creators, and second, because very likely, like they're doing a lot with these, with the rest of the fusions, or even with the rest of the champions. First, you get the champion, and then if you continue, and we can see that here because we have it on the server, first we're going to get the champion, and then we're going to get the stars here. And on the phase 2, we can get up to the 5 stars for free, just playing the game, doing campaign, dungeons, faction wars, etc. So it's doable. In this case, you don't rely on luck to get her plus the 5-star blessing. So this 5-star blessing is pretty juicy. It's also a boost in stats, and it will allow us to just put on more damage, also has more accuracy. But let's start from the beginning. Let's start from the set. In this case, right now, I have her hybrid. What does it mean hybrid? So there's going to be 3 ways of gearing here, like I said. The way number 1 is full control. Full control will be something like we want to have as much as accuracy and speed as possible, and we don't care so much about the damage. It's a bit of a shame having her full control because she is indeed built for damage. This is built for damage, the passive is made to make is built for damage, and the A1 extra hits they're always nice. So we'll be losing kind of 2 of the skills, or 1 passive and 1 active skills, but is possible. In this case, this would be something in the mix, because then there you have the full damage, and the full damage would be okay. Screw the accuracy, screw the speed, let's focus her 100% in a lot of attack, a lot of critical rate, a lot of critical damage. In this case, as you can see, It has she has quite a lot of accuracy, but it's not crazy. It's not 600, 700. And also, it doesn't have too much attack either. This is more or less because the set gave me, and the speed is not also especially high. But it's kind of a bit between both sides. The other version would be 100% full attack, full damage, and then it will be one of these sets like the Savage or Lethal or any set that will allow us to ignore even more defense, and having it way lower on the accuracy. So this is the mixed build, okay? I have the presets here for you to see it, so don't worry. Then we can try, for example, this is the gear I had on Tranda, so this is the full damage. Like you can see, it bumps quite a lot the attack, it bumps quite a lot the critical damage, but we're losing more than 100 of accuracy, and we're also losing speed, but it's all-in full damage. The other version is the all-in full control, like I mentioned, and it will be something like this. This is the gear I currently have on my Warlord, just because Warlord, there's no other synergy with damage. There's no point building a Warlord for damage, but you can see a high bump in speed, almost 100 speed, and also in accuracy, 676. So this is full control, full nuker, and the other version, the version I'm going to be using, is kind of in the middle. It's a bit above walls, the damage is not going to be super crazy. We can do a damage test if you want, but I think we'll be able to see her in Arena, which I think is where she shines the most. Even though I'll go with the skills. I'll go with the masteries. Even though, keep in mind that the bosses, all the bosses in the games, when they use any skill against us, that skill goes into cooldown. If that skill goes into cooldown, means Alice's passive is going to take place, and we're going to be able to deal more damage to the boss. For example, the clan boss, if we manage to fit her in a clan boss team, clan boss also has cooldown, so we can do quite some sort of playing. I could try it, I haven't tried it, but it's just putting in some kind of unkillable setup, and she can put probably quite a lot of numbers. That's the gear we see in Blessing. You can see it here. Probably Crushing Rend is the best. If you have like 1 star, only 2 stars, probably Cruelty would be also a pretty good one, but since we're trying to get also damage from her, I think Crushing Rend is probably the best. 6 stars is a no-brainer. 6 stars Crushing Rend is just a stupid amount of damage. And also in terms of masteries, this is kind of the hybrid and the damage. This one is going to allow us the Hell Smasher is gonna have more chance, to ignore even more defense, which means more damage. But if we don't want the damage because we have already very powerful nukers and we don't care about the damage in arena, we're struggling with the accuracy, for example, on an early to mid game account, we can come down here and go for the Eagle Eye plus 50 accuracy, and it's also going to do it pretty good. So there's kind of these two versions. I went for the Helm Smasher because I wanted to have a bit of extra damage, but in that sense it's a very similar comparison, a very similar champion to Wukong, which I have somewhere, but it's kind of the same style. We can try to go with Wukong full on damage if we also want to keep, here it is. We can also go full, taking advantage of the stun on the A1, of the block buffs, on the stealing the buffs. We can also go full control, or we can go hybrid. In my case, I went hybrid. It doesn't have the highest attack, doesn't have the highest accuracy, but it's kind of balanced between both ways. So it's exactly the same. It's a very, very similar thing with Alice. We can choose which one you want to go and go for it. In terms of relics, there is different options of relics. For example, the Gore Crescent is a really good one, whereas next attack after killing an enemy deals 20% more damage, and we know we can kill an enemy with this skill, kill a second enemy with this skill, and also it will go into cooldown. Then the passive will reset that cooldown, and we'll have the hit again. Even the relic, I don't think I have it here. They forgot to put it on the test server, but there's one relic, part of all these Alice's champions, that increases the damage of the wearer, and that makes it very good option, because if we want damage, that's going to be the way to go. So I'm going to leave this one just here equipped. As you can see, it increased also quite a lot our critical damage, so I think this build is pretty solid. More attack and critical damage, and also a decent amount of accuracy. So maybe her role is not going to be full on control, full on cooldown, lock cooldown, but also it's going to be damage. Not the maximum damage, but damage. Let's refresh. Let's find some team that we can probably beat. Let's go with this Boozer one. Has also a lockdown. Has also another warlord to put even more lockdown, more lock. Skill lock cooldown. I don't know the name. But I tried a similar thing, similar approach. I can show you how hard she hits in arena, or we can remove him, just leave these 3, maybe this even, I'll be even lucky, and we can try to just put them on cooldowns to control their skills and just let them hit you with the A1, and then we have, like I said, 1 turn to kind of recover. Let's give it a try. Let's see what happens. I start. I increase, they come before me, they're faster than me. Why did this Alice attack for no? Because this guy, the Mad Hatter, used the A2, and the highest critical damage from the enemies is her Alice. So this Alice went for me. Didn't hit me too hard, to be honest. I thought she was gonna hit me much harder, considering that I have used 2 skills, 1 or 2 skills on Arbiter. But now it's her turn. Now I can choose, I can decide, okay, do I want to put them in lockdown? I mean, do I want to block their skills? Or do I just want to smash one and then another one dies and then we continue and reset? Let's put the skills on cooldown. That will technically allow me 1 turn. And on the way, we're also going to see how much damage can she make. 44, 50 is not bad, it's not great. Considering that she's not geared bad, the enemy skills weren't on cooldown, so the passive is not going to take place. But at least we kind of gain 1 turn where the enemies are just going to be able to A1 and the Arbiter is not going to be able to revive them. And now I can try to use this time, see if my Arbiter doesn't die, to use this time to this fear is pretty annoying. If the fear comes from the Mad Hatter, I can try, if I don't get fear, to kill 1 enemy and then kill the second enemy. So let's go for this Warlord, and the second hit goes for the Arbiter because it's the lowest HP after that. And since I killed 1 enemy, in this case maybe it reset the A2, because first I did A2 and then I did A3. See, it reset the cooldown of the A2, which means now I can do A2 again, putting the enemies on another 2 turn cooldown. And 35, this skill is not the highest hitter, it's not bad, but it's pretty low. The A3 is interesting, but as you can see, we can I was gonna say 3-man, but we can 3-girl, 3-lady this team by having her bid on both roles. One would be full control, the other one we can use the A3 for full damage. Let's try another team, team slightly more tanky. For example, Layla Fox can be one of these teams. And I'm gonna use Warlord. Is he geared or is he ungeared? Let me double check for a second. Warlord, here it is, and it's geared. Because what I want to show you here, maybe it's not the best example because there's this Ursuga, and Ursuga has a passive that she absorbs the damage. But a Narcissus and Ancora, they're gonna go 100% Stone Skin. Jetwood, Deadeye, maybe we can try that. So here what I want to show you is how hard the A3 can hit, because I can use Warlord to put the enemy's skills on lockdown, all the skills. That's why Warlord is way superior than her. So we'll put them on lockdown, all the skills are completely controlled, and of course Siffy is there to stop me and not let me show you what I want to show you. 1 ship. Let's see if this Alice manages to withstand the hits. I don't know if Yumeko is gonna go for me, and this guy is also gonna go for me. And they're gonna kill her, I hope not. There's the first one. See if he tries again. I stop him. I bust turn meter. Okay, so now the idea is the enemies are already with all the skins on cooldown because Warlord. What can I do? This wouldn't make much sense because, yeah, I mean, I could decrease the enemy's turn meter. That's an idea, but it wouldn't allow me to have an extra turn in time. What I can do in this case is just nuke 1 enemy. In this case, I'm going to go for Siffy because she's very annoying. And he's going to kill an enemy after her, which is going to be the one with the lowest HP, which is going to be this Soulless. And since it's the only skill that I have, he's going to go into cooldown this and reset this skill to kill the other 2 champions. Also, we have skills in cooldown, so extra damage from the passive. Plus weaken, so the hit is going to be pretty juicy, I think. 101, 94. Not bad. Enough, more than enough damage to kill the enemy champions. And then, since it was the only skill, I'm gonna have it again in cooldown, or I'm gonna have, the cooldown reset, and ready to slam them again, and hopefully kill whatever this ship is, which I think was a Chimera. She attacks me, not a problem. Then this Chimera should be transforming back. Everything I do is gonna prevent that. Well, it won't happen, but I can try to kill... I won't kill the ship, but I can kill the Yumeko. 144, 355 is a pretty good hit. Again, the skill's in cooldown, and I'm just gonna probably A1 him and just get rid of him. Or even I can do A2, so you see the damage of the A2, but it's gonna be, let's imagine 3 hits of this, 48. It's not bad, this is a solid amount of damage. But you can see we can combine her with another champion, in this case with Warlord, to increase the damage, or we can just fully focus on her, and then she can try to do everything. That would be kind of the 2 versions that I would see her in arena. For dungeons, for bosses, the damage is not bad. Let's see quickly. Let's see, for example, a clan boss. That can be fun, because the clan boss has also skills on cooldown. This is my clan boss team, and I'm gonna remove... I need the damage and also increase. I mean, Ninja is gonna have to go out. Let's put her here and let's hope for the best. Normally this setup is just like easy auto key, 400 million damage, and it does it. 51 is not enough, of course, like Ninja does a big chunk of damage. And surprisingly, she did very little damage. She only did 13 million compared to the 14 from Brogni. And Brogni is just HP burn and under reflection. And on Nightmare, just out of interest, I'm not sure if I have any of these champions ungeared. Probably... But this setup on Nightmare should be able to hold away a lot more turns than this. I don't know if it's because she died. I'm guessing it's because she died, because she's quite squishy. But she's able to put damage. Not the most amount of damage, but she's able to get something done. And in terms of damage, and we'll end with that, normally I always do it in the Dragon's Lair, on the stage 23, just because it's Void Affinity, and I keep it very simple. I only keep it with 3 champions. There's no point on saying the maximum damage it can do with Battle Khazar and other champions, just because you're never going to use that. You're never going to use that kind of setup. But you can use an Arbiter or someone to give her increased attack and then decrease defense on a weekend. This is much more realistic, so we can have a better idea of, does she hit hard or does she hit not that hard. Let's go with the A2, and like I said, it's not even in the full damage set. It's in a hybrid mode with a bit of accuracy. The A2, the hit is going to be for 150, 180, I've seen some there. It's not bad. Like I said, it's not super amazing. I think the hard hitter is the A3. Definitely, this 20% increase, ignore defense, it counts. It counts. There we go. We're going to try the A3. We're going to go for this one, for example. 230 and 219. Is enough damage, but He-Man I think is way superior in damage, like by far. He-Man is able to just hit like crazy, and that A3 that scales unlimited depending on the buffs, that's definitely the killer. A1, what are we going to see on the A1? 59 and 61. It's not bad actually, the damage of the A1 is not amazing. The A2 seems to be the worst one, I think, or the less hitter. We could also even see, out of curiosity, how much is the damage difference from locking the skills first and not locking the skill first. Let's put a Warlord here, let's try again. Now we're gonna put them all in lockdown or in cooldown. There you go. So now Ali should be doing a lot more damage. Let's start the same again with the A2, and here before we hit by 150, 180, and you can see here 200, 146, so it increased a bit. At least it managed to take one guy down. Let's recirculate quickly the skills, put another buff here, put another stuff here, and Arbiter more booster meter. And now let's see the A3. Before I think we hit here for like 200k plus, and now 460, 450. I mean, if we manage to put skills on cooldown, this scales. The extra damage from the passive, you can feel it, especially if you manage to put enemy skills on cooldown first. But that would be more or less the overall of the guide. Like these 3 different ways, we haven't seen the maximum damage, but I think this last build is the most realistic. A bit of both, a bit of accuracy, a bit of damage, and you can choose one or the other depending what you want in your account. If you want a lockdown champion, then you can go kind of treat her like a warlord. You'll be missing on damage. If you go full damage, you'll be missing on lockdown. So it's always a matter of balance in your account and depending what you need. That will be all from my side. Let me know in the comments what do you think, what the kind of content you want to see in this channel, any questions or anything you might have. Like I said, drop it down there in the comments. Give it a like, give it a subscribe. We're trying to reach as many people as possible with this new channel in English because I have already a Spanish one. I'll leave you down there a recommended video you're gonna have a look after this, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.